Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandenberg, your host. One of my favorite things is to compare notes and to share ideas and pick the brains of other people who support their clients as business owners to grow their businesses. So today we're going to be talking about the journey of entrepreneurship, of course. We don't always talk about that, but we do like to touch on it, and what it takes to elevate and sort of exponentialize your business into the dream you've wanted it to become.
It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur.
So I have a very special guest with me here today. Shelagh Cummins is the founder and CEO of The Road to Seven, which is a coaching, training, and financing company that guides women entrepreneurs in building a profitable and fulfilling business. Driven by an unwavering belief in the power of women entrepreneurs and their impact on both society and the economy, The Road to Seven provides the tools, the support, and the community needed to achieve the wildest dreams. Welcome to the show, Shelagh.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, so excited to have you here. So before we get into the magic you be and share, what was the journey of becoming an entrepreneur like for you?
Well, I think it's fair to say there was nothing straightforward about it. I think, to say it was a circuitous journey would be the understatement of the century. I think it's, I never ever thought of myself as a business owner. And even now, I rarely wake up and I'm like, yeah, I run this business, we do this. Like, I just do what I do. Mm-hmm. And I've always identified as being an educator first and foremost. And it's where I continue to lead in my business. I am currently a recovering classroom teacher is what I call it. Yeah. I've been out of the classroom for 13 years now, and I was in the classroom for 13 years. So I've done 2 careers in my lifetime stage. I left teaching because I had lost the passion, and I don't believe that a teacher has any right to be in the classroom if they have no passion for teaching anymore. And I wanted to focus I needed to make money, but I also wanted to be the main caregiver for my kids. I've got 3 kids who now are 15, 13, and 10. So we're kind of out of the weeds, but there's always been a need for me to be financially contributing to my family. And so when I left teaching, my sort of beginning of my journey was figuring out, well, how can I make money that's not teaching? Because it's all I had ever done. And so I tried my hand at a whole bunch of different things. I tried a parenting blog, which got some traction. I monetized, made some money, but I didn't love it. I started a tutoring company, tutoring some of my old students. I ended up getting full. And so I ended up placing some of my other friends that were on maternity leave as well. But I didn't love that. So I left that. And a friend of ours runs a corporate training company, and he had asked me to design and develop courses for him. I have a master's in education with a focus in curriculum teaching and learning. So I started doing that, which let me read every single business book that was out there that was worth reading, and then taking the content and developing it into courses. And what I ended up doing was then testing out a lot of the content through whatever business I had running at that moment. And then I ended up teaching people what it is that I had learned and had tested. And through various connections, I ended up emceeing a women's business event for entrepreneurs. And in between the speakers, I would do a small training. And that is literally the day that I started my business as it stands today. Because at the end of the day, someone said, Shelagh, I'd like to work with you. I was like, oh, great. Doing what? And she said, I'd like you to coach me to increase my sales. And I said, well, I've never done that before, but I've been selling for the last couple of years. Let's see what's going on. And she's still with me today.
Wow.
13 years later.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so that's sort of how it's gone, but there's been different iterations and different programs. And I mean, it's a constant state of growth and evolution. And, right now I'm in the middle of launching the financing part so that I can support women full circle. Knowledge plus the coaching plus the money can get results.
Tell us
And
more about
so,
that, the financing, because that's something special that you don't see very often coming.
No, it's not. So it's I'm building an investment fund that will provide microloans. And where I play best is with women that sort of fit in the middle. And they're not a startup. They're too big. They have a self-sustaining business, and they're not big enough to receive outside investment. They're not looking for equity partners, but they need capital to get on their road to 7 or 8 figures, whatever that is. And even not, they just want to build their company bigger than them. And they need money, $10,000 to publish a book, or $5,000 for a new website, or, $25,000 to update their e-com site, or whatever it is, something that's going to help them generate more money. And, there's just a hole in the market. And banks don't want to know you because we're too small for them. For a bank to underwrite a $5,000 loan, it's not really worth their time. And investors, there's no room for an investor. And, I solidified the need for it. I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I was running a Kickstarter campaign. I have a productivity planner that I designed and needed to print, and I needed 10,000 up front to be able to pay to have it come to market. And I went to the bank, and I had 10 years of positive P&L statements. I've grown 30% year over year. And they were like, well, the only way we can give you a loan, keep in mind, I am the only owner in my company. I'm the only shareholder. I am the president. I'm the CEO. I'm the everything officer. There's nobody else. Mm-hmm. My P&Ls show that. And the guy said, so we'd be happy to give you a loan as long as your husband can come in and co-sign. And I looked at him and I said, it's 2018. Are we right? Am I right? It is 2018. And you're asking my husband to co-sign a loan on my company that has positive cash flow and P&Ls for the last 10 years. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. And I'd been with this bank since the day I was born. My dad used to work with them. That's how long we'd been there. Mm-hmm. And he said, I'm embarrassed to say, but yes, that's what our underwriters want. And I said, well, that's okay. I need you to just give me 30 minutes. And I literally, Molly, walked down the street, found their competitor. I walked in, I explained what was happening. And within 30 minutes, they had all of my retirement savings, all of my investments, my savings, my checking. I had a new business account, a new business credit card, a new business line of credit. I had everything. Now, I'm a white woman. Imagine if I had been a woman of color in the same situation. Women only get 4% of the lending globally, 4%. And I'm a white woman. Women of color get even less. And it's an inequity that is such an easy fix.
It's appalling.
It is appalling, and it's infuriating. And, we've come so far, but yet we haven't come far at all. And so, like every other entrepreneur out there, like the reason I started this company, like the reason you do what you do, when you see that there's a need and you have an idea that can fill it, you just make it happen.
Which is like the root of any successful business, is looking for that gap and finding the best way to fill it.
And it's amazing how many people, like, you must be the same. They come to you and they're like, well, one of the questions would be, why'd you start this business? Well, because I needed it. I think that's, do you get that a lot?
Totally. And I think people become nurses because they had an experience where they needed a nurse. I think people become therapists because they needed a therapist. I think it's really common. But yeah, absolutely. Most of my clients are serving someone that is a past version of themselves.
Absolutely.
They've become the support that they wish they had at a harder time in life. And that is such a beautiful, like you said, to do something because you have a passion for it, which you couldn't do teaching if there wasn't a passion for it. That's the beauty of most of the people that you and I work with, is they have such a passion for the thing that they're doing, and they know how important it is to help the people who need that service. It's beautiful. So I love that concept, and I love that you showed the fuck up to say, there's a need for this and I can provide it, and I'm going to show up and do that. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are thinking, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is exactly what I need. And to back that up with an entire training program and methodology that actually supports them to probably make use of that loan in the best way, and to then run their business in such a way that it's easy to pay back that loan, is like hitting all the marks on the page, I think.
Well, I think it is. And, one of the things we've put into place, or we are putting into place, is to mitigate the risk, is we are offering mentorship. And, women do business differently than men. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but we have to put that in this conversation. And for sure, there would be an application process, online, submit your forms. There has to be, because there's got to be some kind of a credit check. That's just the way the patriarchal situation is set up. But we also will be interviewing each and every woman and talking with her and getting to know her, because sometimes the best investments don't look good on paper, and I was one of those people. Like my personal credit was in the shitter, because I had fully bootstrapped all of my business ventures and growth, invested in coaching, built my website. All of that had been done through personal credit because I had no other access to capital. And so on paper, I didn't look good. But if they had taken the time to talk to me and let me explain what's going on and show that I'd never missed a payment, and for them to not invest in me where I had this beautiful history of being a great borrower, like, it's just short-sighted on their part, and they've lost out on all my business. I will never go there. I will never refer them. They're dead to me as far as I'm concerned. And this other bank, I will always have a lifelong allegiance to. Mm-hmm. And so, in our application process for the microfunding, it is literally seeing that woman and understanding what the money's for. I will be training our team to be really understanding and analyzing a business to see if it's a viable investment, and there's clues all around. You do it every day as a coach. I do it every day as a coach. You know who's going to make a great client, and you know who's not coachable. And it'll be that same sort of intuitive, feminine guidance that we bring to this micro lending, which is very much a male dominated experience.
So who are the people who tend to come to you? Because you mentioned working with, you got into your business by studying for a corporate gig. Mm-hmm. Who are the people you work with now?
A lot of my women are ex-corporate women. They've just sort of said, fuck that, life's too short. I do not want to live the corporate lifestyle anymore. And I still got to be making money. And so they've got, a beautiful base on which to build. They've got big visions, big dreams. A lot of them are MBAs, but there's a disconnect between the dream and then actually making it happen. And so the women who come to me just need a little bit of guidance and help in terms of figuring out what that next step is. What is that action I need to take? What is the unspoken barrier that I have standing in front of me that's stopping me from making that sales call or putting in the proposal or putting the price tag that I know that this program needs. And so we help them create that critical path, and then we hold their hand by helping them take that consistent, continual action and provide the coaching when needed, the consulting when needed, the education when needed in order to get their results. So we help women that tend to be sort of around the six-figure mark. And it's not necessarily that they want seven figures, but they want to be on the road to seven figures. And so, where our work diverges a little bit is I'm very much in the structures, the infrastructures, if this, then that. It's all process systematized, all the behind the scenes, non-sexy stuff that gets sexy results. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. What do you think what are some of the key components? Because I know there's people out there in the beginnings of their business, and there's also people out there in that phase that you're talking about. If you were to reveal some of the strategies or tactics that really do help somebody go from the six-figure mark to the seven-figure mark, what are some of the things that they should be keeping in mind or looking at or implementing?
So without sort of bombarding you with a ton of content, because I could go on to this for hours.
You like content.
Then I'll start. There's sort of three core elements that run a business, and it's people and processes and profit. And within people, there's three main groups that run a company. One is you as the CEO and leader, and that's usually the biggest barrier to growth. To be quite honest, we always stand in our own way through whatever story mindset we have, the place from which we're making decisions, our experience, we want to price a program, and up comes, however many years of emotional attachment to these numbers. Then we also have our team, the people that we choose to surround ourselves with. I'm a huge fan of hiring up. Meaning, instead of going for the cheapest hire, let's go for the person who's going to become a revenue center within your company and is going to actually earn back their keep. So if, my rule of thumb is everybody on your team, you want to be earning 3x what you're paying them. So if if you've got a marketing person and you're paying them whatever, $100, we want them earning 300. Mm-hmm. The other people part of it is the people who you serve. And I think a lot of times I see women wanting to serve a population that literally does not have the money to pay them.
Right.
And they're trying to get water out of a stone, and it just doesn't work. And I think that is so noble. I mean, this is women wanting to take care of women. At the end of the day, you also have to take care of yourself. And we cannot pay our bills on goodwill. And so one of the things that I often do is help people actually make money through a population that can pay them. And then we figure out how to serve those who do not have the access to the cash that they need in a way that's not sacrificial to their life and their financial well-being. So that's the people part. The process part is those really boring standard operating procedures that we all would rather gouge our eyeballs out other than write out. And then that's sort of the operations, and then the leverage points. So we all have a process to what it is that we do. And when we can lay it out and see it and see where we're standing in the way of success, we can start bringing people in to support us. And so finding those leverage points to remove you from the day-to-day results of your clients, so that other people's talents and specialties can be brought forward so that your company's stronger. That's a huge piece. And then the third piece of the processes that we look at is your deal flow. And by deal flow, I mean the consistent flow of customers that are coming into your company, your lead generation, your nurturing. Are you attracting the right people? Do you have a consistent flow? And if you don't, then let's fix that wheel, because it doesn't matter. I want to make $1 million. That's great. If you don't have any flow of people coming in, it's not going to happen unless you're selling $1 million product. Yeah. So then the third part is the profit, which is pricing. And this is where we spend a lot of our time, is getting the right price on different services and offers. And again, I know I'm preaching to the choir with you on that one, but we often price just for the bare minimum. This is, I just need this much to do this. Graphic designers, just pay me $100. It'll be fine. I'll craft you a logo. The logo's going to go on to earn you hundreds and thousands of dollars, but just pay me $100. That's fine. That's enough, which is fine when we're just really trying to make some cash. But if you're running a company, it's expensive to run a company. 30%, you should be thinking about 30% of your take home should go to you, which means 70% is going to go to your team, to your operating, to your taxes, and into profit. And so we have to get that price to be able to sustain growth. And as you get bigger, you have to have more people. It's going to cost more. So the price has to reflect that. And, I think people are so afraid to change their prices. And they're like, well, Shelagh, how should I raise my price? And I'm like, you literally go onto your website and change the numbers. That's how we change our price.
Yeah.
The next piece of that is, I'm drawing a blank. I'll come back to it. But the last piece is diversifying our products. Looking at all the different areas that we can monetize within a business. The simple things like getting affiliate links on your website, getting a resource page of companies and softwares that you fully stand behind, and get that affiliate link. It's free money. Why wouldn't you? If you've developed, a really great system, well, sell the system to other people. If you've got a great production line that's doing XYZ, well, white label other people's things that are also making that same product. There's so many places that we could be making money that we're not looking at it. Yeah. So those would be those would be sort of the 9 basic systems that we work with, but it starts with people, products, and profits.
Brilliant.
Cash flow. Cash flow was that one that I missed.
Okay.
Watching the money come in and watching it go out, and figuring out, how do I make sure that I have more than just enough?
Yeah. What's one of the secrets for that?
So, I'm a huge, have you read Profit First?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of that, only because it forces you to look at the actual cost of running your company, because we want to know how much profit we want left over. And, profit is so exciting. There's so many people that are like paycheck to paycheck, month to month, dollar in, dollar out. But when you start to accrue profit, think of what becomes possible. It is a door opener. It's like a bonus. It is a vacation. It might be an investment in that coach that you've always wanted. It might be a new website. It might be investing in another company so that it can be working really hard and your money just starts earning. It might be designed for a compound interest savings account so that it can grow while you're sleeping. Profit is so exciting, but we focus on top line revenue.
Right.
I got to hit this amount of revenue. I got to get this amount of sale. I got to look at me. I had a 6-figure month. Well, that's great. Your 6-figure month just cost you 5 figures.
Right.
Like, it's just, it's all about the profit. And then it also lets you build up buffers. So we want to take percentages of our revenue. Percent goes to profit. Percent goes to your salary. Percent goes to your team. Percent goes to your operating costs, and percent goes to the taxes. Because I'm going to tell you, they're going to come for their paycheck.
Yeah.
And when I started, like a long, long time ago, I was like, that's okay. I'm just small potatoes. They're not going to want my $3,000 in taxes. I'm nothing. They should go after the big guys who owe them 30 million. Well, they came calling and I didn't have it. And Raul and I became very close. We were great friends, and we had to talk every week, and I had to pay them every penny that was coming in. So we are going to have to pay taxes. So you might as well be ahead of it. Mm-hmm. And when you can get that flow, Molly, going, and I'm sure you're teaching this as well, you create buffers. And so we want to put more into our tax account than we need so that you're never short. Mm-hmm. And that abundance is so powerful, and it liberates so many people who have had a tumultuous history and relationship with money, having more than enough, and even having money that's not earmarked for something.
Yeah.
Just having money because
having money was just having concept. Money. Yeah. In general attracts more money to it. It is this magnetic thing. Yeah.
I heard once that money's like a snowball. And it's either going to snowball in the debt direction, where you start with a tiny amount of debt and it's going to quickly snowball into a life-wrecking entity, or it's going to become a small investment that's going to grow and grow and grow, and it's going to turn into this beautiful snowman. So I love that analogy. It just makes so much sense. And I've experienced both.
Yeah, me too.
And sometimes both going, like, it's not always one way. Sometimes it's a cycle, and then back in there. Yeah, it's fluid.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Awesome. Those are some really valuable key points that people need to be aware of. And I think I asked you the question for 6 to 7 figures, but I think a lot of those elements are really crucial for people to be thinking about no matter what stage of business.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter if you're going for 4 or 5 figures. These are elements that need to be happening anyway. And they're not scaffolded. It's not like one has to happen and then the other and then the other. They're all happening simultaneously. And it's why it takes such a mental load to run a company, because you're trying to monitor all of these things. But when you know what you're monitoring and you know where to look, it just removes the pressure a little bit.
It becomes easier too. Yeah. And I think one of the things that a lot of people out there probably listening are in the solopreneur category. And what I love about what you mentioned just from the get-go was that there are people on your team, and just the way you're talking about your business is, there are people on your team that are handling different aspects of that. Yeah. Can you speak a little bit to, I have a workshop coming up teaching people how to hire a virtual assistant, which is on March 24th. If anybody's out there, you can
sign up.
wildheartsriseup.com/VA if you want to come to that. But let's talk about team a little bit and how that element allows a business to grow faster than it can if we stay the solopreneur.
Yeah. I think first off, you have to want it. You have to want this business to be bigger than you. And it's incredibly noble to be running a self-sustaining business on your own. And I think it's really important that we say that. And this is a non-judgment type of response. If that's what you want and that serves you, that's amazing. Go for it and make the most of it. And if you want this to be bigger than you, or you want to relieve some of the pressure from your day-to-day, then you got to be looking at what are the areas where I'm blocking our success, and who do I need in order to help me with that? Whether it's a VA, whether it's like, for me, my very first hire was a bookkeeper, because obviously with my tax situation, I had an issue with my books. Listen, QuickBooks is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be quick. Books, but there's nothing quick about QuickBooks in my world. And so my very first hire was a bookkeeper who was like, "Oh, Shelagh, you're such a lovely lady. What the hell have you been doing?" Because I was doing it all wrong. Because my background's not in bookkeeping, right? Mm-hmm. I'm an educator. I know my lane. I'm good at content. I create courses, I facilitate, I teach, I coach, but even, you know what? There's other coaches that are better than me. And so through my fulfillment process, one of the things that we've done is bring in a couple key coaches to run some of the programs who I know are better at coaching that entity than I am, because my job is the creator. I'm the visionary. I'm the one who's going to be out there pounding the pavement, pitching to raise funds for this micro lending. That's where I play best. Do you know where I don't play really well? Is on Instagram. I am the worst. And the only reason I'm on Instagram is because I work closely with a woman called Dee who holds me together. And every Monday she'll be like, all right, Sheila, what's coming up this week? What do we need to be talking about? And we brainstorm, and then we pull from different places where I have content, and she puts it all together and makes the magic happen. And so, if I didn't have her, I would not be on Instagram. Now, I don't use Instagram for selling, but when people Google you, that's what's going to come up. Your LinkedIn profile is going to come up. Your Instagram is going to come up because their search engines are so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's everybody's got to earn their keep, right? The number of people that come through my socials is increasing. Well, that's because of Dee. She's earned her keep, more than threefold.
Yeah.
Kim, who does my book, she's kept me online for the last probably 6 years. She's kept me right on top. I haven't had to pay a penalty yet because of her. That is a cost savings. Another place I play horribly is on details. So things like my schedule or booking clients in. I'll be like, yeah, let's book you in on Tuesday. Totally forget to do it. And so, Colleen takes care of all of that. She does the client management because I'm out here thinking big. I'm doing all here. She does the small minutia. She's holding things together. So it's knowing your lane, knowing what brings you joy and where you shine, and slowly being able to bring people in to be able to pick up the slack.
Yes, it's so valuable. And I've been feeling that. I have a couple people on my team, but I've been asking that question of who's the next person to bring in that's going to help to exponentialize my business, because holding the reins so tight, I am a highly productive person. I will toot my own horn. I can do a lot, and I love creating content. I love building new courses. I love having new ideas, and I implement them with pretty much ease. And what more would be possible if I was willing to hand off more of the details, more of the following through on plugging it in that I can do, and I do very well. And I teach people how to do it the way I do it because it works. But yeah, there could be more people on this team that could just make more possible.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I like that idea of, where are we getting in the way of this business getting bigger? And what would it take to take the identity of our business as something separate from us and recognize it wants to have a life of its own? And if we keep trying to strangle it into being just our thing and not getting any help to hold it and water it and feed it, then it's going to stay a certain size with that sort of glass ceiling on it. So there's something really beautiful about recognizing you have a passion for this business because there's a need for it, because it can change lives, and to say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, including loosen the reins so someone else can support me to make this passion into a greater reality.
Yeah. One of the things that we do is everybody who's on hire. So listen, in my world, it's all about numbers. The data doesn't lie. And one of the things that we've done is implement a results-oriented work environment, if you will. And every job has data or quantifiable metrics that they're aiming for. So this is the number of posts, this is the number of engagement, this is the number of click-throughs, this is the number of calls that are booked as a result of the work. And when you can quantify what that job is, then not only does that person have the evidence to be able to say, hey, I'm killing it. I am blowing through, you've probably heard them as KPIs or key performance indicators. I'm blowing through all my metrics. As opposed to having the conversation of, I don't really know if this person's working out. It's just not feeling right. And there's a place for that as well. Don't get me wrong, but the numbers are also not going to lie. And so if you've hired someone and, especially with a VA, let's quantify what they're doing. Are they on top of things? Are they handing things in punctually? Are they up to your standard? Are they innovating? Are they, initiating? Are they seeing holes and then taking the initiative to plug them? Those are things that we can quantify and measure.
So cool. Well, somehow half an hour has already passed.
Oh, it
So
goes so
I want to
fast.
honor your time. I know it does go so fast, but you had so much beautiful magic to share with us.
Thank you.
First off, I know people are like, where do I find out more? I want to hear more about the lending and also the brilliance that you have with business. So where is the best place for people to follow you or find you?
Thank you. So theroadto7.com is our website. There's information about the lending there. We're recording this at the beginning of March, and we'll have our first round of loans heading out in the first little bit of May. So I'm going to be pounding the pavement and I'm pitching like crazy. We are Canadian based at this point for the loans, but in 2 years we should be down in the US so that we'd have a US branch as well.
Awesome.
So theroadto7.com. I'm on Instagram as Shelagh Cummins, SHELAGH Facebook, Shelagh Cummins, LinkedIn, Shelagh Cummins, email Sheila@Shelagh Cummins. Literally just send me a bat signal, send me a message, and I'd love to chat and connect with anybody.
Awesome. And the road to 7, the word 7 is spelled out. It's not the number 7, but we will put the link to that in the show notes for you. Thank you so much, Sheila, for being on the show today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you everyone out there for listening. And any last words of wisdom you want to leave people with?
If you can see it and you can picture it, you can do it.
Awesome. And again, anybody out there who wants to come to the How to Hire a Virtual Assistant workshop, we're going to look at what are the pieces of your business that you're ready to start delegating? How do you onboard or even find your virtual assistant? How do you want to pay them? Do you have the money to do it right now? And then once you've hired them, how do you keep them on task and keep delegating to them without it stressing you out too much? It's going to be really fun. March 24th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. wildheartsriseup.com/VA if you want to check that out. But again, go to theroadto7.com. Go follow Shelagh Cummins on Instagram. See what kind of magic she's pulling from her like massive. I'm just assuming you have a huge stockpile of content like I do. Brilliance to share with the world. So check her out. And thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Tactical Magic. Bye.